I did want to cover, I don't even know. Whoa, all right. Let's cover a brief lesson, which is quite important. Oh, this is, I'll have this clip out by the end of the week on Surah Zilzal and the unconscious mind. Right, people, think of this verse. Right now, in Surah Al-Jum'ah, this is a verse, an amazing verse that we all know. Right, ذاك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. That is the grace of God, the favors of God. He gives them to whom He wills. It's an amazing verse, incredibly positive. Now, and we ask Allah to really shower upon us all His countless blessings and to make us be appreciative of them. But you see, I want to show a different permutation. Let's take a look at these verses, and then I'm going to go to Walid Ibn Mughirah as a brief case study. This is from Surah Al-Mudaththir, okay, from verse 11. ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. Now, this doesn't have to be solely about Walid, but many people feel that these verses they reflect him as the primary subject of discussion, but just as an example, using him as an example for others. So, okay. ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا. And you can see Allah saying that let these people be, let such a person be who I created, and I showered him with countless gifts and monies, or money and wealth, and wabanina shahuda, and offspring, and especially in that society where people boasted of tribal kind of warriorship, and he had at least three incredibly prominent sons who were many amongst them Khalid bin Walid, the great warrior of Arabia, who later on after Fath Makkah embraces Islam and comes to have the title Sayfullah al-Maslul, the drawn sword of God. But he was the son. So you can see this is the father. وَمَهَدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا, and things had been made easy for him in life. ثُمَّ يَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدَ, yet he desires, he craves more. كَلَّا إِنَّهُ كَانَ لِآيَاتِنَا عَنِيدًا. This condemnation of his stubborn hubris that he has, this stubbornness, أُرْهِقُهُ سَعُودًا, that devastation, that this person has ruined everything he's basically done. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرْ وَقَدَّرْ, that he actually delved on this. He actually thought about this so hard. Like, he wasn't somebody that just didn't pay attention. He did pay attention. That's the problem. فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرْ, and then he kind of planned around it. فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرْ. Damn him. What a plan that he came out with. ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرْ. ثُمَّ نَظَرْ, he used reason. ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرْ, and was disappointed. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرْ, turned away and considered himself to be something mighty. Considered istikbar. It comes from the word kabir, which is big, like Allahu Akbar. Now, istikbar is to seek something to be big on the 10th form in the Arabic wazn, in the Arabic form. So istif'al. So to seek something, istikbar, to seek. And he thought, and look, and what does he say? That he says, فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرٌ. He said, this is but just magic that is being conveyed, a tradition. إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا قَوْلُ الْبَشَرِ. This is but the word of man. سَأَصْلِهِ سَقَرْ. That, this, it's just ruin and damnation for this person. And you can see, right, I thought to myself, hubris, this is what I want to discuss. And especially if you take a look at the definition, because it is about excessive pride or self-confidence, but from the Greek tragedy, pride or defiance of the gods, leading to nemesis. Now, why? Those of you that don't know, Walid ibn Mughirah, somebody who was much older than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was one of the Sayyids of Quraysh, right? One of the leaders of Quraysh. He was from Bani al-Makhzum, and I think he meets the lineage of the Prophet with Murrah. They meet at the ancestor Murrah, but he's from Quraysh, and he was incredibly known as, in his day and age, clearly a millionaire. He had a lot of wealth ranging from in the Hijaz to the Tihama. In all these, he had a lot of fields. He was invested commercially in a lot of assets, in trade, incredibly successful. But that's not the point. Because you might say, well, Mufti, so what? And it's true, so what? He was an incredibly righteous man. See, this is where it gets interesting. He was somebody that was symbolic of a good cause. He was known in Jahiliyyah. You know how the Prophet ﷺ was titled in Jahiliyyah as-Sadiq al-Amin, the trustworthy, the truthful. When he was a young man, years before prophethood, he was titled these. Like people, this is how they saw the Prophet ﷺ, as-Sadiq al-Amin. Walid ibn Mughirah, guess what his title was? People actually saw him as this. Al-Adl, justice. Not even that he himself was the embodiment of justice. He endeavored to assist people where he could. Quraysh was struggling after there was flood damage to the Kaaba. He said, I will solely take up the entire cost what I can to rebuild the Kaaba. He did. He was a devout individual. And he was somebody who, more than just being devout, was committed to the concern of people. And he, on several occasions, he would buy the kisad, the cloth of the Kaaba, he would buy that. If he found people were in, let's say, some kind of desperation, he would assist them. And he was somebody that Quraysh looked at as, that man is not only wise, he is just, he's grounded. He's got money, he hasn't driven him crazy. He's got wealth, he's got status, and he actually gives forward to humanity. What a guy. It's true though. Giving is living, and this is what this man symbolized. So what went wrong? You see, this can be one of the greatest traps of circumstances. Sometimes in life, the problem is, in many ways, we are the good guys. We are, let's say, by our perspective, worthy. You will see and this happens with religious figures, it will happen with clerics, it will happen with people that have been given any kind of, there is a worthiness, because, and in many cases, they are doing things. I mean, sometimes they're just rinsing other people's, they're just on the back of others, but, on many occasions, these people are actually doing that. And then comes prophethood, but not to you. It hurts. See, this is the ego. You got to understand that what he says, you know, the verse of the Quran that لولا نزل هذا القرآن على رجل من القريتين عظيم. Could it not have been revealed on a man who is great from these regions? And it's he himself said he never had an issue with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People didn't have an issue with the Prophet. People felt the Prophet was a trustworthy person. They may not agree with his mission, but they didn't have a characteristic issue with him. He felt in many ways, do I not deserve? I have given a lifetime in the servitude to man. Do I not deserve something? Or either there's nothing. You see, this is it. Because sometimes if there's nothing, we can still get by. The problem is coming second place. Not that he's second in prophethood, but this is the problem. You see, in a psychological study, people were asked, in a psychological study, people who were fired from a job, to realize that that's because the factory or the place had substituted them with machines. Let's say certain conveyor belts and all these kind of, they've had the whole process automated, were less hurt than somebody who was fired to learn that another person had been given his job. People were substantially more hurt to realize that actually another person took that. But the other people in a similar situation, if they learned that, oh, it became automated and a machine is doing that job, were less hurt, you see, because nothing isn't as hurtful as something sometimes. So it really hurt him that how can this be that I have done all of these things? I'm al-adl. I'm justice, the embodiment. Have I not spent decades helping people financially, giving in charity, rebuilding the Kaaba, clothing it? They used to, the kisa of the Kaaba on several occasions. Allah. Defiance of the gods in Greek tragedy. See, excessive pride, this self-confidence that I'm so worthy, this istihqaqiyya in Arabic. And this is the thing that you see, it goes back to Allah saying that is ذَاكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُعْطِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. It is the grace of God, he gives it to whom he wills. So there's so many lessons to learn that when Walid ibn Mughirah turned against the Prophet, he didn't do it because when he says, they ask him, can you comment on the Quran? And he comments on it. He comments on the Quran. He says that he listens to it. And he says it's, when speaking about it, he says that, let me see if I've got it here. Oh, no. Or may not have it here. Right, so he actually says, when he reads the Quran, he says that, oh, inna lahu la talawa. And he says it has a unique style and a halawa and a sweetness. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَعْلُو وَلَا يُعْلَى. It's something that is supreme and nothing can reign supreme over it. And he says all these things until Quraysh feel he's converted to Islam. Because they ask him, is the Prophet a madman? And he's very, you see, he's just. He's just. So he says, the Prophet isn't a madman, because he knows that if I say he's mad, I'm just being a hater. And the Prophet isn't mad. So why should I call him mad? So they say, is the Prophet a kahin or an arraf, one of these people that kind of like into their clay, like a clay, like one of these fortune tellers? Is he one of them? And he says, no. He says he's not, because he knows, you see, he is this just person that I ain't going to lie. So this, and he says, and the Quran is magnificent. So people think he's going to embrace Islam, but it hurts him. That why is it not to me? Because am I not more deserving than, he calls the Prophet Ibn Abi Kabsha, the non-Muslim Quraysh people would call him that. It's just a name, like they had this name for him. It's not in itself derogatory, but it just means the son of this person, but they would refer to him as that. And he says that, am I not more deserving than him? So people think he's going to embrace Islam, and he refuses. And the Quran mentions, look, fakkara wa qaddar. He fakkar, thumma nazar. He used reason, he thought about it, he put his mind to it, he got obsessed with it. And then when they asked him, so what is it then if you don't believe in it? He said, it's magic. But he didn't mean by magic in the sense that the Prophet was bringing up things from thin air. Because when they said to him, magic, he said, sihrun yu'thar. He said, don't you see that it splits a man from his wife? And what he meant was, because if you looked at it, people who were embracing the faith were separating from the family. So in his own way, he keeps this position of, oh, I'm still just. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be a hater, even though he is hating, but I'm not going to be publicly a liar. I'm going to say things that still have a kind of reality to them. But I'm going to say, well, that's a magic that you're splitting them with, you see. So, but it is this hubris, this pride. And it is true, because it's really a lesson for all of us that we, at times, it can happen to the best of people, that they can feel that they are deserving. And you'd never expect it in the path of somebody who is doing good. But yet many a religious folk, many a spiritual folks, many a humanitarian have kind of gone astray by hubris. May Allah protect us all, keep us all grounded and humble, because it is something I wanted to share that with you guys, because it is quite profound. A lot of people speak about Walid ibn Mughirah, but they don't mention this, or I've not heard the way this connect. They just mention he was this great rich leader of Quraysh, and he was a nemesis of the Prophet, and he was against the Prophet. But it just adds so much more flavor that you start to realize, wow, it comes alive in front of you.